Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. This is a Ask Lakia. Guys, I get asked questions all day, every day, and keep them coming. Keep them coming because they help me understand. And a lot of times I see a running theme of questions in the community, and I know, you know what, let me make a video to address this, okay? So a little whiles back, months and months ago, I did make a video called Step 1, Co-Parenting with the Narcissist. Stop trying to force the narcissist to be a regular parent. Okay, if you have not checked out that video and you have we're going to say co-parenting very loosely here. If you've had a child with a narcissist and you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend that you do, because I'm pretty sure a lot of us can recall, and some of us are still actively doing this, but there's a stage when you are trying to get the narcissist to be logical. You're trying to get the narcissist to be fair. You're trying to, get things to be more equal, to get them to take accountability, to get them to see your perspective in things, to see it and acknowledge it and adjust to it on any shape, form, or fashion. And you wind up bumping your head up against the wall. It winds up being in one ear and out the other. And it becomes very frustrating. And you're taking your precious energy and you're trying to convince someone who's not trying to hear you, not trying to change, and doesn't even care. And, you get caught up in a cycle of doing this over and over and over, and you just get more and more frustrated, right? Yes. All right. So this young lady left a message under that video, and after reading it, I really felt like the community as a whole could benefit from me going through a video response to her message and her questions. All right. So let's go ahead and read what she wrote under this video. And she starts out by saying, "Good morning. Sorry for the long post. I just really need help. It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning in New York City and I cannot sleep. I need advice. My daughter's father and I have been back and forth to court over the past 2 years. And mind you, my daughter is only 2 years old. We go to court for custody and either he shows up for the first date or he doesn't show up at all. The last time he did this, I just decided to move on with my life. I did not ask for child support or anything. Then I guess he got bored and needed some narc supply and decided to take me to court for custody after being out of her life for almost a year. We go back and forth to court. He finishes the supervised visitation, and then the last day, when all of this is supposed to get resolved, he doesn't show up. He has done this 3 times over the past 2 years. I believe the reason why he doesn't show up to court for the final court date is because he actually doesn't want this to be over. He actually doesn't want to have proper visitation with his daughter. He wants to continue to punish me by taking me back and forth to court. My daughter is only 2, almost 3, and whenever she's watching cartoons, she often sees families with dads and asks for daddy. I don't know how to deal with this. Talking to him is to no avail because he often times hangs up the phone on me or blocks my number as a way to punish me, control the situation. So there is no speaking to him. And this is when he's not screaming at me for 15 minutes straight, telling me how much of a horrible person I am before hanging up the phone. I feel guilty as a mother that this is the father of my child, but I didn't know that he was like this. I really don't know what to do because as she gets older, she's going to be asking for her dad, and I don't know what to do with someone that plays court games and doesn't even want to communicate with me via the phone or text. He has spent more time out of her life than ever. I found a restraining order against him, so the only way he can have visitation is through the courts. And oftentimes he doesn't show up even when he's the one that filed the petition. All right, I'm just deciphering this. I used to make allowances for him. Or did you mean excuses? I used to make allowances for him because I thought it was because he was young. Okay, I think she means excuses. I used to make excuses for him because I thought it was because he was young. But now I know that this is just who he is. He doesn't care. He's 27 years old, by the way. How do I deal with the guilt of him not being in my daughter's life? How do I deal with it when she asks us for daddy? I really don't know what to do. I have tried my best. Yeah, I know a lot of you can relate to that. I could feel it, the empathic side of me can really feel, her desperations, her sorrow, her pain, the hurt. I can just feel all of that. So let me go ahead on back through here and, break this down here. But I like what you said at the end here. I have tried my best. Let's hold on to that thought. I have tried my best. Oftentimes we're our own worst critics. We really are. And even when we've tried our best, we're beating ourselves up, when we made the best decisions that we could at the time. And we're still trying to make the best decisions as we go along. And sometimes we need to seek that wise counsel. And sometimes we need to get, that advice to help us when we feel like we're in a valley or we've just run out of, doing it to our own understanding. So, let's go through this. Let's go through this. She says, good morning. Sorry for the long post. No need to apologize here. I just really need help. No need to apologize. All right. That's what my videos are for. Anyone can leave a comment. I get emailed things and, I get to everyone when I can. If you've ever sent me, especially a lengthy email and I haven't replied back to you, please bear with me. Okay. All right, so no need to apologize for the long message, all right? It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning, so that really points to a lot of anxiety here. You're not even able to sleep. You can't sleep and you need advice, all right? So my feelings about him taking you back and forth to work, I think, they're pretty much in alignment with what you're thinking here. You said you believe the reason why he doesn't show up to court for that final court date is because he actually doesn't want it to be over. I agree with you. He doesn't. I don't feel that he really wants to resolve it in either. Narcissists, they're big at wasting people's time, and they don't view it as that because, like you said, you feel like he was bored and he wanted that supply. It's just a way to continue to try to hoover you actually and trigger you from a distance and then up close. Hopefully the courts will begin to see, the patterns of him wasting the court's times here. But, I do feel that he does get bored, and just from the other things that I'm reading here, that he is using you as like an emotional punching bag here. He really is. Because when we continue on here, where you jump quickly out of the court and you talk about how your daughter is almost 3 and when she's watching cartoons, she sees families and she asks for her daddy and you don't know how to deal with this. And so you try to talk to him and rationalize with him, but he hangs up the phone on you. He blocks your phone number, to try to punish you or control the situation. And this is when he's not screaming at you for 15 minutes straight and telling you how horrible of a person he is before hanging up the phone. Well, let me just say this to you. Number one, I don't ever want you to allow him to be um, projecting on you for 15 minutes and telling you how horrible of a person you are before he hangs up the phone. And when I say projecting, is what I'm saying is that narcissists oftentimes they tell on themselves in ways that we may not always be able to recognize. So what he's projecting onto you when he's yelling and calling you horrible, he's projecting his own feelings of feeling horrible and inadequate. So he's basically dumping that on you because he feels like a horrible person. He's dumping it on you. And then in his emotionally immature mind, he's justifying it because you're horrible, for making him feel horrible, for bringing up the fact that your daughter is asking for a daddy that's not present and that's not doing right by her. And there's a part of his logic that understands that. So he's feeling that shame and guilt, and never be a part of him doing that. And if anything, you're saying oftentimes he's hanging up, he's blocking your phone number. You're seeing that he has to communicate very toxic communication skills, and we won't even call them skills at all. But his communication style is very toxic here. So that he's not going to be the person that you're going to turn to get relief in this situation, to reconcile it. And survivors, and especially in a co-parenting setting, that is like a major pitfall. And then people who aren't even co-parenting with the narcissist oftentimes tries to turn back to the narcissist to fix the situation, because a lot of times people that are codependent in nature and empathic people, they want to recalibrate things. They want to put things back in a equal standing, if you will, because a lot of times we want people to know that they are lovable. We don't see why situations have to end so harshly or so nasty, or why does it have to be so bitter and mean and cruel. We know in our logic it really don't have to be that way, but when we're dealing with another person who's operating out of another kind of logic, we'll put logic in quotes here, the way that they're going to handle the situation is going to be on a different wavelength. So when you're using words like oftentimes, he's showing you over and over and over again that he's not ready. And he never will be. This is unfortunate. But, he's not the one that's going to help you resolve, these issues. And then we continue down here and say you feel guilty as a mother that this is the father of your child. And I know like so many survivors can relate to that after the fact. You're like, oh my gosh, I chose this person. In actuality, you chose the person with the mask, and that's who you thought you were getting. Maybe there may have been some instances where you didn't pay attention to some red flags, or maybe you fell for the mask a little bit too soon. You didn't give them time to really show consistently that they could maintain, what you were meeting. And then by the time the mask dropped, they already had you locked, signed, sealed, and delivered oftentimes, because they love bomb the person so hard, you guys. But so many people have been fallen victim to this, and they really are con artists. But it's no need to be guilty about this, because you did the best you could with the information that you were given. You thought you had one thing and you had another. And, this guilt is allowing you to stay in a place of letting him, emotionally use you as an emotional punching bag for 15 minutes, yelling at you and continue to treat you poorly, because your guilt is going to be hitting at your self-esteem at that point. And that's why it's best to just let go of that guilt, because guess what? We can't change the past. But what we can do is take control of the present and the future to our best ability. And you're not going to be able to do that if you're feeling guilt and shame, okay? Let's keep going here. I really don't know what to do because as she gets older, she's going to be asking for her dad, and I don't know what to do with someone that plays court games and doesn't even want to communicate with me via phone or text. That's where you have to give it over to God. There's nothing for you to do with that person. It's time to let that person go, you know. Is nothing else to do. You don't know what to do. Walk away from that situation. Let go of that situation. Don't try to force the issue. And this is what I was saying in this video here that you were just watching. But you need some more reinforcement with that. All right. So it's not something that you're going to be able to work with him through to fix. So, you know, when someone is being so disrespectful to you and your daughter, you have to let that person go, sweetie. All right. He's already been physically out of her life more than ever. You know, if you let go of him now, you know, she's not going to have no physical memories of this. All right. And for you to need restraining orders against him, it speaks to other levels of toxicity in this relationship that you haven't mentioned here. But people don't get restraining. Well, crazy people ask for restraining orders for no good reason. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, you know, it indicates a lot more dysfunction going on in this situation. Because you said you found a restraining order and now he can only see your daughter through visitation. So for the courts to even go that far, you know, there's a lot more toxicity going on here. So he's filing these bogus petitions just to interact with you. And these are forms of hoovers, actually. All right. And you used to make excuses for him because you thought he was young, but you see that as just who he is. Yeah. You know, a lot of times us survivors make the excuses because we really don't want to believe that they could be that way, because when they had on that mask, we would never have thought that they would have ended up being this way. And it's easy to try to make excuses, but understand that when you're doing that, you're definitely stepping out of your truth, and it's a form of gaslighting ourselves. All right. 27 is old enough to understand you brought a child into the world and you need to be responsible. So let me finish here. How do I deal with the guilt of him not being in my daughter's life? Well, let's start working on the perceptions here first of all, because everyone's not actually meant to be a parent. Just because your body can physically go through the act of something, just like there's a difference between sex and making love. All right. Just because, I mean, a teenager can create a baby because a teenager can produce semen, and a teenage girl has an egg, but does that mean that they're ready to raise this child and protect it and keep it safe and secure? So even though he may be 27 years old, you know, well over 18, and he has a physical form of a man, you know, you're dealing with a grown boy here, and probably even worse, because even my 9-year-old son, you know, would have more respect in this situation. So you're dealing, you know, with a narcissist here, and he doesn't care. So, you know, you need to start understanding where his absence is actually a blessing. You know, actually, sometimes the absence is a blessing, because it would be far more damaging what he could do to your daughter actively being in her life than if he were to fall off the face of the earth or disappear. Now, I know he's reappearing and playing these BS games through the court system, but he's never finalizing it. And I don't know what the custody is, but I recommend that you just go ahead and seek physical and legal custody at that point. And if he doesn't show up, they're going to grant it to you. So let him keep playing those games and not showing up. You're just going to get everything in your favor. Perhaps it's time for you to start taking that control and filing the petition and showing the court. He's given plenty of evidence here. For whatever reason you were able to get that restraining order, for whatever reasons that he can only see her through visitation, And through him playing with the court's time over and over and over again, he's making a joke and a mockery out of this. It's something that you could definitely point out to the judge. All right. And it doesn't, he's not paying child support, all these things. Bank on his irresponsibility. You now file the petition and let him not show up for court, and you will take all of those rights. And then if he tries to come and take your daughter or anything, it will legally be kidnapping at that point. All right. So letting go of the guilt will help with, will go away when you change your perceptions. All right. See the blessing in him not being in her life, and realize that a biological father, you know, they say any man can make any boy can make a baby, but a real man, or what's the saying they say about the difference between a dad and a father? Or basically, you know, the earthly father or the biological father is not always going to be the one guiding that child. But God can make provisions for this. And sometimes it could be through a male member in your family, your father, your brother, your uncle, your best friend might be a guy. Or, you know, God will bless you one day with your real husband who will actually come in and be the father figure that your daughter never had. So, you know, stay open to other ways that God will replace, because this man, you know, he wasn't ordained to stay in your life. Look at him. Look at him. You're trying to be responsible. You're trying to be mature. You guys aren't even equally yoked here. He's not checking for your daughter. He's not doing the right things. God knows this. He's got somebody else in mind for that position and for that role who's better qualified. You know, a lot of times we get stubborn. It got to be the biological father, or it breaks our heart because it's not the biological father. You know how many amazing stepfathers are out there, or men like, it wasn't my biological father, but he's the only father I know, and he was always there for me. Like, lots of people have that situation and story, and that is a blessing because God still makes provisions. But we have to stop being stubborn, and we got to start seeing things from a different perspective, so that we don't always just want it to be one way. Okay? And you asked, how do I deal with it when she asks for daddy? I really don't know what to do. I have tried my best. So, you know, I have children by a narcissist, and they've gone through their situations, and I've had to be there for them. And he said really horrible things to them, told them to never call him again, and like basically just wrote them out of his life. And they've never done anything to him. So the only thing that I could tell them was that he's sick. You know, he's very sick, and it does not take from your worth. He's the sick one, not you. You're still lovable and healthy. He just has a problem. And I'm sorry that you had to experience that. I'm sorry that he's so sick that he can't be the father that you deserve, and that, you know, that he should have been. But there are sick people that just are not capable. They just aren't capable of doing it. But God, you know, is the ultimate father in heaven, and he is the father to the fatherless. You know, and technically you're never fatherless as long as you have our Father up there, and he does make provisions, because my children do have other male role models in their life who are healthy and who can be there for them. So, you know, it may not be coming through, like I said, their biological father, but they definitely have other examples, and what a blessing that is, you know. So, I would tell her that he's sick. Yeah, I would say that daddy is sick. And a lot of people don't want to keep it real with their kids. They want to act like, oh, he's not here right now, and da 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 da. I mean, it really is what it is. And she needs to learn from an early age that her father is not all the way there, because this is going to help her learn, start prepping her for later in life in case he does pop up. He's not well. He is not well. All right. But your last statement, I really want you to hold on to that. You have tried your best. And when you have tried your best, God does the rest. So, I really am prayerful that you will give this over to God in a certain sense of, not letting it come in between your peace, not letting it steal your peace to the point where you can't sleep at night and you're feeling sick to your stomach. And I know that's easier said than done, especially when he has you running back and forth to court, because it has to be a trigger to you by now. Like, oh, I got to go back to court again tomorrow morning, and your stomach just start hurting in your guts. And it's like, here we go again. I just want this to be over with. But this is where you can step in and take control or take matters into your own hands. Why can't you file a petition for legal and physical custody? Okay. Why can't you? So I highly recommend that. I highly recommend that. And, as your daughter gets older, you can talk to her. Hold on a minute here. As your daughter gets older, you'll be able to be a little bit more descriptive with her, as far as giving her an explanation that fits for her age. I mean, your daughter is only 2. And just say, he's not well. Sorry, your daddy couldn't be here because he's not well. You can just keep it that simple with her. I'm sorry, your daddy's not here because he's not well. So, and then, as she gets older and older, you'll be able to explain, his mental illnesses, with the narcissism and how that prevents him from, making healthy choices and being able to love and care for her. All right. And then in the meanwhile, you'll be increasing her emotional maturity so that, she'll be able to recognize these signs in other people and the cycle won't repeat itself. All right. But, all we can do is take our lessons from the past at the end of the day and then make our present better and our future, sweetie. All right. Give this to God, reclaim your peace of mind. Be open to other male role models who are better suited and qualified to be that role for her. And in the meanwhile, you be the best parent that you can. Families come in all shapes and sizes. You don't have to have a father under the roof to be a complete family. You love on your daughter. You show her that she's lovable. You show her where to get her worth from, and it's not from other people's approvals and acceptance, because she may feel that rejection of not having her biological father. But if you give it to her in a different sense, maybe you could help avoid some of that or eliminate or alleviate some of it that might naturally come inside of her from that, having that relationship and knowing that he's sick, All right. So I really hope that this is, helping to put you at ease a little bit. A lot of times it's our perspectives and, when we don't have the perfect white picket fence or what we perceive as the perfect white picket fence, we start kicking ourselves and making matters worse. All right. So let go of the guilt. You did your best. All right. All right. With that being said, guys, I am starting, I have a little something that I want to offer you guys that go along with the topic of co-parenting with a narcissist. And it could be found on my website, www.lakiacrawford.com or .lakiacrawford.com. And it is a half-an-hour session with me. And this is in regards to the narcissist and child support. I get a lot of messages about this and people who are struggling to get child support and, who feel like, oh, I got the short end of the stick and et cetera, et cetera. Well, how about you come have a session with me and I'll talk about some some techniques, some resources, some approaches that you can do to help you out in this situation. And it may be things that may not quite meet the eye that can help you out, all right? I don't feel comfortable just making a video about that and putting it here on YouTube because I know the narcissists are watching and I don't want them to get that information. They're not going to get it like that, all right? So come talk to me privately if you're having issues with narcissists and child support. It's a half an hour session with me, and the cost is $75, okay? It's on my website. So I want to privately, help who are willing to make that investment in themselves. But, you're going to get that money back in this. Trust me on that, okay? So, just keep doing the work, guys. And I will be putting this under co-parenting with the narcissist. And like I said, it's really parallel parenting. If you've been watching my playlist on co-parenting with the narcissist, and if you haven't, I'll go ahead and link that here to the video as well, guys. It's always a touchy topic here, explaining this stuff to children, stepping out of resistance and into acceptance of the reality of, this very irresponsible person that you procreated with here. But the quicker you do it, the better off you will be. And, when one door closes, another opens, guys. Like I said, God makes provisions. He makes provisions. He knew that person was going to drop the ball. He knew that person was going to be reckless. He don't want you chasing after that person, trying to prove nothing, trying to twist their arm or get anything out of them, okay? He makes provisions, and there are other ways, all right? So I hope that your situation works out. I would love to get an update from you in the future to let me know how this is going for you. All right. All right, sweetie. I hope that you start sleeping better. Sage your home out. Get yourself, if you don't have it, essential oil diffuser. Put some drops of lavender in there. Do whatever you can to, make your bedtime routine more peaceful. Start praying and meditating if you aren't, just taking a nice hot shower, whatever you can do to help relax yourself. Maybe not be on your phone or have that TV stimulation before your bedtime. Maybe you could find some soothing music to listen to. I don't know if you read your Bible. You read the Bible before you go to bed as well. Just asking God to help you with that, the insomnia, the anxiety, all of that. He's there for you. All right. Just, keep taking care of yourself, and everything's going to be all right. All right. Take control of what you can and shift those perceptions, and, be open to the universe giving you some answers that may be outside of the box.